Okay, so I'm ready for number 4. Now again, this is in standard form, which you can do your zeros if you want. Okay, that would be one way. Or I'm going to go ahead and solve it for y. So I'm going to move my 2x over to the other side. And again, remember we always move the x first. And then I'm going to put it in mx plus b form, slope-intercept form. And so there's my equation, which means when I go to graph, my y-intercept is going to be a -3. My slope is a -2/1. So I could go down 2 and right 1. Or remember, I could go up 2 and left 1. But again, remember, it's supposed to be going down left to right. I'm going down the hill. Now I'm going to look at my sign. It is just a less than. So I am going to dot my line. When I test 0, 0, and if I test it here, I can actually test it in both of them. So this is 0 is less than a -3, which makes that a no. Now I could also come up to my original equation up here, which is still 0 is less than a -3, so that's a no. So I am going to graph, whoops, sorry, my bad. I'm going to graph down. Okay, that's a no, sorry. I'm going to graph this direction. Okay, so again, no is here, yes is on the other side. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the next one. So it is x minus 2y is less than a -4. So I'm going to solve it for y. I'm going to move my x over. And then divide by a -2. Now don't forget, when you divide by a negative and we're doing inequalities, we've got to flip the sign. This is 1/2 because I've got 2 negatives. And then I've got a -4 and a -2, which is a +2. So on this one, my y-intercept is going to be at 2. And my slope is 1/2. So rise 1, run 2. Or again, I can go the opposite direction. And then I'm going to look, and my graph is a greater than, so I am going to dot my line. I'm going to test 0, 0, and that would be 0 is greater than 2. So this would be a no. So I'm going to shade above. Okay. Now again, I did not quite extend my blue out far enough. So if we do that, we can extend it. So there's my graph. So the place where I see both blue and green is going to be in this area. Okay, and that would be my final answer. Now again, if I ask you for a point in the solution, then anything in there would work. So you could say something like, 1, 2, 3, 4, we'll say 5, 1. Okay, so 5, 1 would be an answer that would work. Okay? Okay, so number 5. This one is just solved by graphing. It is not an inequality, but you're still going to need to graph. And you do have to be very careful. I would always do at least 3 points, and be sure you use a ruler to draw straight. So my first one, I have a y-intercept at 4. I have a slope of 3 over 1, so that would be up 3. So 1, 2, 3, right 1. That would be one way, but I'm going to go down 3 and left. Again, my slope is positive, so it's going up, and drawing on my iPad, it's kind of hard to draw a straight line, but I will try to get it as straight as I can. Okay, and the more points you put in, the straighter you're going to be. Okay, now I'm going to go to my second line, and it has a y-intercept of a -1. It has a slope of 1/2, which means up 1, right 2, or I could go down and left, and again draw my line, and I can tell where it crosses because they're both right here, and so my answer to this graph is -2, -2. Okay, and if you wanted to, you could check it, because I could come up and do a -2 equals 3 times a -2 plus 4. That would give me a -6 plus 4, which is a -2, and so it does check. And I could do it in the other problem also. And -1 minus 1, well, -1 minus 1 is a -2, and it checks. So remember, you can check these. Okay, number 6. X plus y equals a -3. X minus 2y equals a -6. Again, I like doing these zeros, and as long as you don't get any fractions or anything, this actually works really well. So I'm going to do that one by zeros. So if it's in standard form, I typically go and do the zeros. Now, most won't let you do the zeros if it is a fraction. You're not allowed to estimate it. But in this case, if I put a 0 for the x, so I am coming in and putting a 0 here, okay, then I'm going to, and again, that's the cover up, then I'm going to have 0 plus y equals a -3, which means y is a -3. Okay? If I put 0 in for the y, then that means x is also a -3. So I'm going to have 0, -3. I'm going to graph those 2 points, a -3, 0. And then I'm going to, again, draw my line. Okay? And again, mine's a little bit off because on my iPad I can't use a ruler. So now I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to let x be 0. If I have x is 0, then that means y is going to be 3. And if y is 0, that means x is a -6. Okay, so I'm going to graph 0, 3. Do this in a different color. Okay, 0, 3. Go ahead and put those in a different color also so you can see which ones I'm doing. And then -6, 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. -6, 0. Extend my line a little bit. Okay, and now we're going to graph again those points. And again, you can see right there's where it crosses. And 1, 2, 3, 4. -4, sorry. 1. Okay, so final answer. And again, you could check it. Okay, number 7. I'm doing this one by substitution. And remember the rule that when you're doing substitution, if the two are both equal to y, they have to be equal to each other. Or you can think of it as that I am taking this y, okay, because I know what y is, and I'm substituting it for y, okay? So when I do that, I get a negative 8x minus 7 is 2x plus 3. And then I just need to solve, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and just move my 2 over. Then I'm going to move my 7 over. I'm going to divide both by a negative 10. And x is a negative 1, okay? Now remember, you've got to go back in and find your y, so you're not done. So y is 2 times your x plus 3, negative 2 plus 3, so y equals 1. And remember, we have to write our answer as a point. There's your final answer. Okay, let's do number 8, and then I'll stop this video. So number 8 is y equals 4x minus 5, and your other equation is 7x minus 3y equals 5. So again, when I look at this, I know that this is what y is, so I'm going to put it right there where the other y is, okay? Now, don't forget your parentheses, so it's 7x minus 3 times y equals 5. Okay, so there's just right there's where I put that y. And I'm just going to go ahead and distribute. I'm going to combine like terms. I'm going to move my 15 to the other side. I'm going to divide off the negative 5. And x equals 2. Again, I'm not done until I find my y, so I'm going to go up and put it into this equation because I think it's the easier. Okay. And then I am going to simplify. And there's my y. So my answer is 2, 3. And that is your final answer.